I think needs to be, again, part of a bigger discussion. But the basic update from the master lease is that we have been in touch with the mayor's office and Councilmember Menon's office regarding the master lease. So there was a call, I had a couple calls with a deputy at the mayor's office in December. And then we had a call with Councilmember Menon. She was on the call along with some representatives from her office. The basic way that we left off that call is that they requested that RIOC send a formal letter to the mayor's office to begin formal negotiations on an extension of the master lease. So that's where we're at. I'll say separate and apart that Battery Park City, there was legislation that recently passed and was signed that directs Battery Park City to engage in similar negotiations to extend their master lease. Battery Park's master lease is different than ours. It's actually much simpler for them to do it. For us, it involves this direct negotiation with the city. And I'll also say that as part of that negotiation, there's a lot of issues with RIOC and HHC on the island that are gonna end up wrapped up into this bigger discussion. So we've been in touch with HHC just this week regarding the Kohler berm, and that's progressing. You're gonna be hearing more about the Kohler berm in the next month or two. I think HHC is gonna start a series of community meetings here on the island to roll out that project and get feedback from the community.
Can you tell us what it is?
The berm.
Oh, the berm.
Yeah, the berm around
they're
Kohler.
actually doing that?
They would like to, yes.
I voted for that when I was on the board, and it had to be done by that Friday, because they were gonna start right then.
Oh, really?
That's
When-
what,
when-
10 years
of
ago?
those.
I've been off for at least 10 years.
Yeah, so they have.
They showed us the renderings and everything, and we were like, okay, special emergency meeting, because they're gonna start.
So they've had this money allocated from FEMA just for the purpose of building this berm for that time. And in the meantime, right, there are HESCO barriers, which are this temporary berm that are up around Kohler. Yeah, I don't know why that negotiation stalled out.
It literally died. I mean, you heard not word one. We'll get back to you, because everything's a go.
So we're waiting for HHC to schedule.
Yes, yeah, so we have another call with HHC scheduled for next week, and then they're gonna bring in a consultant to do these community outreach meetings here on the island.
Can I ask with the lease, is the steam plant or the tunnels gonna be an issue when it comes to who owns what?
It's already an issue in terms of
I
who
know, I
owns
mean, are we
what,
gonna
yeah.
have to solve it before we do the lease, or?
I think these things are all in play, yeah. I don't know the degree to which any one
10
thing
more
will.
years in the future.
No, I think, well, I mean, to the point on that though, right, there is basically a deadline with the master lease, right? We're at 44 years on the master lease. If we get to 40,
2068.
yeah,
Yeah.
but we can't get to 40.
No, we can't.
And we cannot get, frankly, even close to that, right? We need some amount of buffer. So, and I think everyone's aware of that and everyone understands that. I know that there have been discussions in Albany about this. I know there are discussions in the city about this. I think everybody understands that this needs to happen. And that's why the negotiation needs to start in earnest.
Well, one thing that helps us is that Battery Park City is parallel to us
Exactly.
in timing.
Yeah.
So that really raises attention too.
Mm-hmm. And it's already been primed with legislators too, that this is an issue, so.
Now, on this team that's gonna meet, will you have representatives from the buildings?
On the team?
On the team with the city and the state, will there be building, people present?
No, not yet. Well, we're still in the very early stages of this. So right now, the like I said, the call that we had was just with Representative Menon, the mayor's office, and
Maria
RIOC.
Torres Springer? She from,
She was not involved in those.
okay.
Yeah,
She's probably.
yeah.
I'm
I
just
think it's
thinking
something
that
works for
buildings
her.
have such a big, it matters more to them than
Yeah.
pretty much anybody, so they really should be in it from the get-go.
And I know I've spoken to David Kramer about this, and I know that he's been in touch.
Yeah,
literally
Triva,
with-
that group Triva has already been
Exactly,
working
yeah.
on.
And David was in touch with the governor about
Right.
this, so believe me, it's on everyone's radar.
Okay, so now I think we'll move on to.
Wait, can I ask a question
Yeah.
with this? So is there any discussion regarding whether or not there should be an extension with the state as opposed to whether or not Roosevelt Island should just be returned to the city?
I think the discussion is about an extension of the master lease.
So it's assumed the relationship will remain the same between the
Yes.
state and the city?
Yes. I think that's
That's where I think we want the residents involved. 'Cause, you
Yeah.
know, so, I mean, it could be the buildings wanna buy the land, and we don't even want a ground lease extension, we just wanna come out from it, be like everybody else, own our land, and that's that.
It's not a one-way street. There's real decisions to be made.
Yeah,
Just automatically
that's
saying,
why I hate
okay, we're
to-
gonna go with the
to-
state. It's-
Hey, cause you
It's
guys
pretty big
spinning the
assumption.
wheels, and to
Is-
come up with a plan that, we don't wanna live with.
right, is that, you're saying what the buildings want?
Yeah.
We've got to remember that when the original master lease was enacted, most were doing the rental,
Right.
except for one Michelin Corp. That picture has changed a great deal. A lot of the buildings are private co-ops, a lot of the newer buildings are fair market rental buildings, not Michelin buildings. And, people who live here are essentially, as I understand, the property owners, and they should have some say-so in their master lease. It's a different situation than it was, and if we're not thinking that way, we should go.
Yeah, I think RIOC has to make a value proposition that's better off governing. I actually think RIOC is better off governing the island, but,
Than the city.
yeah, oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. We wouldn't have this meeting.
Exactly.
This wouldn't happen at all. We didn't even have the discussion.
Yeah.
But a lot of people feel differently. And, you know, there's always been discussions, and like everybody's going, well, pray for the day RIOC has to go.
Mhm.
But, so that has to be appeased and has to be answered.
Yeah.
And
You
there are
can't just
multiple
make
options,
assumptions.
there are incorporated villages, there are all kinds of ways to do
Right.
this, and we
Right.
just wanna make sure if we're looking at another 99 years, we wanna do it right next time.
So,
Right.
so the idea
Yeah.
wasn't even an extension, just on that, it wasn't an extension for 99 years. The number that I heard thrown out was 32 years to get the lease to 2100. Obviously, all of this is up for discussion. But in terms of, you know, this question of whether or not RIOC is a better manager of the island or the city, I'll say, you know, today we're just discussing all the potholes. I don't know if anybody has seen the bridge, right? But, yeah, there've been a number of complaints to 311 about all the potholes on the bridge, to the point that then we're getting contacted by the local electeds, you know, asking us about this, right? And it's obviously a city issue, and we cannot do that repair work.
The important thing to remember is that over a period of time, there've been some really bad RIOC administrations. Some quite recent, which have made the islanders saying, what the hell do we need these guys for?
Sure.
But I
We're
think the
better off
beauty
with
of
the
what's
city.
happening right now is that there's an open conversation
Not-
way before any contract
You're
was signed.
absolutely right, and RIOC needs to make the value proposition. They also have to let us know that this change is permanent. This could change tomorrow, go back to being
Right.
for residents out.
Right.
So RIOC and the state have something to prove. I think most of us would love to see RIOC stay if RIOC is this.
Well,
We'd like to see an elected react.
Well, one of the side
yeah.
issues is the debt.
Yes, there
So
is that
that's-
issue of the
which is-
debt, right?
Which
And
is effectively deferred while RIOC exists.
yes,
And so, no
Well-
one is touching it right now, but we'll see what happens.
and to be frank, right, if you were gonna buy your land, right, let's just have that theoretical discussion, right? If a building was gonna buy its land, land values are very, very high, right? This would be a one-time assessment tacked on a building of, say, $80 million, something like that, in that range. Is that the kind of thing that,
Yeah, we wanna talk about it.
Yeah.
right?
That's for
Absolutely.
discussion, and also,
Absolutely.
Marge reminded me,
Well, you
important.
know the area out by Rockaway and all that, we've talked about the Cross Bay Bridge and all that, that's exactly what we did in Birch Channel, we rented the land and then we all bought our land.
And as
Very
Marge
different
pointed out,
land,
and that- sorry, I missed
Very
it.
different land values.
One
Well,
thing-
yeah, but still.
One of the things that RIOC has to do,
Excuse me.
so open the switch up, excuse me, David, I have the floor.
David, one
Excuse me,
moment,
David.
please. One moment.
That we have to have some say in who the board members are. We had elections once, they come with some really good members, including Marge, Fay Christian, that were participating and really had input. The next time it came around, no elections, and Andrew Cuomo just manipulated things to get manipulate control. So what RIOC needs to do as part of that is guarantee some amount of power to the residents. And you're giving it to us now, it was great of you, but you can go tomorrow.
We don't
And
want
the
the
governor
government
can just
dictating
change the whole thing.
If I can add something very quickly, you know, we're not just having a few of us sitting around the table saying we would like that. We're speaking for over 1,100 people who live on this island have signed a petition asking for that.
Yeah,
I happen to think that 1,100 people out of a population of 12, 15,000 is massive. And there wasn't just people doing favors to sign petitions. I mean, a lot of people here have helped out. But I was there every weekend, people stopped and they talked about this. I said the magic word, RIOC, and I said the word RIOC and they stopped. But it wasn't just, sending emails around and getting people on Twitter to spread the word. This is one by one, people stopping, always talking. So I'd like to impress upon you that a lot of people care deeply about this and have signified it by signing the petition. It's not just the buildings. The residents want a say on how this place is both overseen, the oversight responsibility of the directors. We think that the residents should have some much larger part of that. And also a lot of people, including those in this room and other people, numerous on this island, who have had and do have some amazing ideas with what we could do with this island in all sorts of ways. The music festival, refreshing the area around here, the Roosevelt Island refresh, the tram burger, there's tons of them. And we'd like to have the residents have a much bigger voice in how all that stuff is done. Another way of doing that is to have the residents have a say on what the direction of RIOC is, therefore have the vote on the board. That's why the petition was asking for the residents to have the chance to vote in the directors of RIOC. I understand it's complicated beyond measure, I'm sure, with state law. And
Wasn't
it's
the
even
first
possible.
time, very simple, very
I
clean.
understand that. The first time all you lot had to do was throw some tea in the water and we gave you your freedom, right? So yes, it may be very difficult technically, but magically things have a great way of actually happening when it's the right thing to do and if people say it loudly enough and together. And I think that's what's going to happen here as well. So I'll stop making speeches.
David, sorry about that. You were saying? Oh,
You muted.
I wasn't saying anything.
okay.
I just wanted to know who was talking, because I can't see the.
Oh, I'm sorry. That was Paul
It was-
Frickler, and that was David Stone before him. So now, Mary, if you will, we'll get to our presentation.